Wi-Fi in a while because more sleep disruption. But I'm working on growth armor, and I asked around a little bit in London off stream just to try and get an idea of like if there actually is a next quest ready. Because if there wasn't, I was gonna like give it this last stream and end it. Seems like there's a little bit left. Not really a quest, but there are some dialogue topics. I don't know what'll come of it. For now, uh, for now, yeah, bug testing. So the problem is that this function here freezes the game. So, yeah, there is a workaround I can think of to do it, which would be to get the effect's name instead of the code, but that's a bit less versatile. So I'm gonna try. So I'm gonna try like this and see if it works. Alright. 2. Check we have the proper add. Because adding it's fine. The bug is that if we have one fortify effect, then it works fine, but if we have two, like on here, then that causes a freeze. So I'm trying to deal with that. And that's the freeze. Okay. Yeah, alright. To show you what's kinda supposed to happen. And I don't have anything set up to actually purge the enchantments between loads, so... I'm not using the growth armor yet. My actual save still should be up. And Concast is added again with a packet loss. Alright, so... Also, what's... I don't know, the coding quality with this growth armor, I feel, has gone up significantly because I have a better handle on arrays. I'm using debug print instead of just print C, and I'm just focusing on making functions as like reusable and scalable as I can think of at the time, without being terribly slow, anyways. So yeah, there's a lot of debug stuff now. I actually set that as a flag. Actually, no, not set. Do show. There. So I have that as a global value, and that is the debug flag, so it'll update every half second with everything else. And that will toggle the display of all these console messages. It will be an ini file setting, because if it wasn't, then I wouldn't be able to... Everything before that initialized would not show up if I couldn't set debug beforehand. So it's an ini, so it's going to be an ini setting. It's going to be at the end. I'm not going to explain it all that in depth because you're not supposed to use it. So it's there. That goes all right. So we have the fortify int 1 added. And we had Fortify Agility 5 added way above in the initializer. And then let's set this to 20. There we are. You can see it's found it in all of them. And we have here Fortify in 4. But now it's Fortify Agility 4. That's the problem here with multiple Fortify effects. They have unique names. Like the Fortify Intelligence is the actual name, it's not just Fortify. Even though the underlying magic effect is called Fortify Attribute. So, I can work around this. It's just, if I can make it work with codes, I'd want to, but everything I've tried has resulted in a freeze for this specific case of having multiple Fortify effects. Anywho. Alright, cool. There it is. All these messages tend to only flood the log once you actually activate it. It's fucking weird. Anyhow. As you can see, the enchant sticks around. Not only that, you also get double agility, Fortify Agility on there. This is why I have to purge the enchantment between loading saves. Stuff just sticks around. Anyway. Right, so what's new? There was like... Checked in with the bookstore, by the way, first edition. And no book given to me, so he's not done. I downloaded this mod, which is currently in like a work in progress, so there isn't all that much to it, but it gives us something to do. And something that I really think should have been in vanilla, but wasn't. Right, that was something I started and completed entirely off stream. I'm not going to touch on that. You'll find that out yourself. It did give me a pretty cool... I don't have it with me. It's a sword that actually could be arguably better than Deus Farragon here, even though Deus Farragon is overpowered as fuck. The other sword might actually be... Well, it is on par. Really surprisingly. And depending on your luck, I guess. Also, thanks for... Gosh, I forget what that... I think that was a variation on the follow sound I just heard. Still don't have the window up. I should have put that up. I mean, I could Alt-Tab to bring it up right now. And why not? Here. Quite the name there, but thanks for the follow. Breville, the Breville equipment shop. What was it? Archer's something in Breville. You enter the gate. You enter from the northern gate. You cross the canal to the southern side. There's an armor shop right there. That's like an Archer's something shop. It's part of his regular stock though, so it may not immediately be there. You might need to wait 3 days or a week or something for it to get stocked up. And before I read that surprising name, where the heck was I? Right, that sword was on par with my own broken stuff, surprisingly. And then... oh yeah, there's this. Hey Sobit, you just missed the coding part. I'm not joking, you did just miss the coding part. This was a short quest. It sounded like it would be a bit of a long one. It ended up being really short. Just because I've been a little thorough in my other things. So basically there was a painter in Mirkorup, like an actual professional painter that I could ask to get paintings put in my various homes. And when I asked her for one specific one, she said she doesn't have the right red for it. And that started a quest to go get the red, which I needed Daedric Seducer blood for. And she gave me a dagger and said, go cut some Daedric Seducers to get the blood pints. And I'm like, crap, this could be kind of bad, because if I don't have a dialogue option to, I might end up aggroing them on me, which I don't want. And I just talked to Verjeka, and she gave me all the blood I needed. And that was that. So now I have like a painting in my home. Oh, you're both coding. Anyway, I can show you something coding related. So, there's a reason that I have to remove purge enchantments every time we load a save, as in like reset them to null and then rebuild them from scratch. And that's because of stuff like this. It has 2 fortified agility effects. I have not implemented the enchant purging code yet, growth armor, and this is what happens. Any cute. For one, I don't know if it's Cobble or Stranded Light, but they added like a lot of books. It's probably Cobble. It's Cobble, I know, added a lot of stuff for that was in previous games, but not current one. But Stranded Light also adds some books. Right, this is what I got. Also, I found a really good spell. It's at the first edition. Firestorm, where was it? Here it is. It's instant damage, which is really rare with Lame active. But it's pretty close to some of my custom spells. 110 points, 15 feet. That sounds a lot like my own stuff. Of course, it doesn't have any weakness in it. What was some, like... Yeah, Fireball, 200 points, 20 feet, 2 seconds. Alright. I was not able to get a second lesson on Daedric Letters. So I'm not sure if there actually is a second lesson. But this is what we got. When I went to check in just to be sure there was actually more content and I wasn't just going to start a stream with like, hey, we're going to finish Stranded Light, and turns out we already did. So this is, I got this while making sure. And this is an introductory pamphlet that they hand out to all the new members, and I didn't get until now, for whatever reason. Actually, it kind of makes sense since I technically joined them before they were really a guild. Like, I just want to be really clear. I own this ruin. It's not like they found this and moved in. No, I actually went to the Imperial City and bought the rights for this property, and so I own this place. Just want to be really clear about that. Like, I have paid a lot to build this place up from scratch. Which also isn't really an issue for me, given I still have like fucking almost 9 million. Gee, I had like at least 5 million, or it's definitely more than 2 mil when I started this. Maybe it was around 5 mil. And I have a lot more wealth now. Clearly, price is no object. Anyway, on to the pamphlet. For mortal members, one question our new mortal members always like to ask is, what are Daedra doing in the Stranded Light? Do they pose a threat? What are their intentions and their goals? These are, to put it bluntly, the wrong questions. While it is justified to ask them, the perspective is wrong. The Daedra in the Stranded Light aren't servants of any prince, be it Azura, Nocturnal, or Varmina. They are, for whatever reasons, stranded in Mundus. Imagine how it is to be lost in an alien world. A world which is, by and large, hostile to you. No safe haven to return to, only a long stay in the void, a mental hell of which mortal death is only an echo. Most Daedra in the situation will do anything to survive, to not be banished into the void. The main question is, what can they do? That's why the Stranded Light offers them shelter. They're given a purpose, a reason to be, and in exchange they gain a safe place. Their power and skills are channeled into constructive activities. By working as guild guides, diplomats, as trader and healers, they're securing a place for themselves, and in return help the citizen of Mundus and don't pose a threat anymore. For Daedric members, there's only a single rule: don't do evil. It's easy to say that you just are, and that you're neither good nor evil. It isn't about what you are, but about what you do. Your actions are judged by mortal standards, and they have a very clear idea about what's acceptable and what's not. Mortals may be on a lower subgradient, therefore having a different worldview. However, this is their world. Daedra are guests and should behave as such. This even extends to how you must react to threats. Your spirit can be rescued from the void, but when a mortal dies, the soul is lost to the dream sleeve. Therefore, mortal lives are of the highest value and must not be taken. This rule, however, does not include these mortals that have left the boundaries of mortal society and morals, like Mythic Dawn assassins or marauders. How the Stranded Light came to be. Today, it's a thinly veiled secret that the impetus to form the Stranded Light came from 3 Daedra: Karashivul, a Zivali, Zareshu, a Mazkin, and Tessariel, a Golden Saint. Just as an aside, it minorly peeves me that she doesn't refer to herself as an Oriel. It's Dark Seducers and Golden Saints, or Mazkin and Oriels. Doing Mazkin and Golden Saints just ever so slightly annoys me. Rumors, which Tessariel met with friendliness and therefore seemed to have proven wrong, were actually correct. She is a Golden Saint, yet she didn't come to the Imperial City to bring ruin and destruction. Far from it. Around a month prior, the 3 Daedra gathered in the Rothgarian Mountains. One of them, Karashivul, had learned about the Mythic Dawn's attempt to assassinate the Septim lineage. They'd sent warnings but were ignored, so they made 2 plans. The first was that each of them would try to stop the Mythic Dawn, but they failed for their own reasons. Karashivul wasn't able to get near Enman, and Ebel Septim was driven away. However, the assassins got close enough. Zareshu was able to rescue Gildal Septim from the first wave, brought him to a secure place where he made the mistake and went near a window. A single arrow struck him down. Tessariel hadn't expected that Earl Septim VII would flee through the prison sewers, and as she followed him and had taken out a few assassins, a cave-in blocked her path. Only the 4th founding member, later known as the Hero of Kavash, was able to save Martin Septim. Why did they try to do this? This world is precious, and none except Marin's Dagon and the Alduin World Eater would want to see it destroyed. And their servants, maybe. Not anyone of the Stranded Light, that is certain. While the Hero of Kavash continued the direct campaign against Marin's Dagon, the second plan came to be, building a shelter for wayward Daedra, and at the same time strengthening this world in a time of crisis. Each of them realized that the way to secure a place in this world shouldn't be done by violence, but by charity. That is why the Stranded Light was successful, why they achieved their goals while others failed. Simply because their goal was to make this world a better place, and not winning boons for themselves. Question why they have chosen this path is very often, so let's take a closer look. Destiny can be altered, but not avoided. Take a look at Bardon, the moon over Vivek. It hurled itself towards Vardenfell to lay waste upon the land. However, it was frozen midair by the false god Vivek. Since then it serves as the Ministry of Truth. However, the Bandar was not removed. It still has its original impulse. If it is ever freed, Vivek City will be annihilated, and large parts of Vardenfell will cease to exist. Serial, Zareshu, and Karashivul knew that they faced a fate similar to Vivek, their eventual banishment after a short stay full of violence and pain. Those behaviors you would expect, namely causing mayhem, would have only accelerated this fate. Hiding would have given them more time, prolonged this fate, but nothing more. Changing the patterns was the option they saw, even bending the rules, similar as to how Bandar was frozen in midair. The result can speak for itself. A new fate was forged, and while doing so, this world even became a better place. And all this thanks to a Zivali who just wants to live in peace, a dark seducer who isn't going to seduce anyone, a golden saint that tries to live up to the name. And after getting that pamphlet...
Afternoon.
Hello. Okay. After that, yes, you can ask them about the pamphlet. And this is where I stopped myself to save it for this stream, because I wasn't going to dive deeper if this led to the chance that this led to anything more substantial. Or not, whatever. This could just be a nice little conversation. That is for sure. Yeah, kind of hard to hide a giant blue person with red tattoos.
Well met.
Okay. The visitors may not yet realize that the Daedra are in charge.
Be seeing you.
It's my pleasure. Please continue.
Let's see, and for you, we still have a lot of topics left to cover, but eh. Yeah, it never told me about that, but I guess it didn't really matter at the time. That's good to know for the next playthrough. Grammar and some. I'm not gonna hold it too much against them because this is a translation from German, so I expect some errors, but it still is kind of snaps you out of it when you see one. How many members do we have? It's kind of unrelated to the topic, but alright. Wait, how do they know about Martin as the hidden heir? Well, is Karashivil a defector of Baron's Dagon? If so, that could explain it, because then she might have been briefed by the Mythic Dawn. So Mythic Dawn and Dagon knew. That's why they attack Kavach. Otherwise, nobody else really knew, right? Except for the Blades. Desariel and Zreshu could not have known, but Karashivil might have. I'd say that's a question I cannot ask with these options, but is the most pressing one in my mind. No, because I'm gonna figure out why when I play Morrowind. Yeah, this is touching on one of the facts where either, like, as a direct result of the main quest, or just behind the scenes, each one of the... I'm gonna have to pause this to really explain it. either behind the scenes or as a direct result of the main quest in each of the games. I think after Daggerfall? I think starting with Daggerfall. Each one of the main towers is deactivated or destroyed. Towers, not just any old structural tower, but like a capital T, are how to explain this, because I don't have a full grasp on exactly what they do, and I'm not sure anybody really does. What we do know is that I know two functions of them. One is they anchor reality in place. Meaning these are like the pins that hold the cloth of reality down. That's one function for the towers. The second is it alters reality a bit. Whoever controls the towers controls reality. But since nobody controls the towers, it's kind of like a ambient change, like the people that are living around the tower, kind of their collective will directs the tower's forces, and that was one explanation proposed as to why Citadel is not a jungle anymore. But yeah, honestly, when I heard there are towers, I was thinking like there'd be more towers out there, like the white gold. Especially since in ESO they kind of retconned the adamantium tower to look exactly like white gold. But turns out that's actually not really the case. As far as the towers go, I think only those two, no, I think only 3 of them, 3 of the 7 are actually towers, I think. And I don't know all of them by name. I haven't actually heard the names of all of them yet, now that I think about it. But there's the Adamantine Tower in High Rock. There's the White Gold Tower we have here in Cyrodiil, right at the heart of the Imperial City. There is the Crystal Tower, which is in Somerset, and the Crystal Tower was destroyed as a result of Marin's Dagon's invasion. Like, not just deactivated, that whole tower has collapsed. It is snapped in half. So there goes one tower. And then the other ones, apparently it seems like the Throat of the World in Skyrim is also a tower. And Red Mountain is a tower. There's one in Valenwood, and I forget what it was called. Great Oak or something like that. And then the Numidium is another tower, which I find a little odd given the Numidium didn't always exist. It was made by the Dwemer using the Heart of Lorkhan, but it apparently also became a tower. And in Daggerfall, at the end of that, the Numidium is destroyed. So there goes one tower. At Morrowind, you defeat Dagoth Ur and Red Mountain and destroy the Heart of Lorkhan, which also disables Red Mountain as a tower. In the Events of Oblivion, we have the Crystal Law Tower destroyed by the invasion. And I don't know what tower will deactivate for Skyrim. Might be the one that's... might be Snow Peak. Might be White Gold. Adamantine... it's kinda being adamantine and just enduring, because there aren't really many, if any, major events around there that I can think of. So it seems pretty safe for now. But yeah, it seems like over time the towers are getting disabled or destroyed, which is kinda bad. Anywho, you better finish reading this dialogue. It's going to be gone by the time I hit return. I really would have liked it if they canonicize this, but it's so far from Skyrim, I don't know. Actually, there's no way they could reference this in Skyrim. They could reference it in 6, because the pamphlet's mention of Alduin World Eater really got me thinking, like, was Alduin established in the lore beforehand, or did this come out, like, after Skyrim, and that's why they mentioned it? And so I looked up the release date, and this came out, like, 5 months before Skyrim. So they probably already had heard of Alduin, but didn't know too much about them. Or maybe they did. There's probably some lore stuff on Alduin, just esoteric before Skyrim. Either way, this did not come out after Skyrim. So that's good. That also means Skyrim has no way to really account for this, because by the time any of the Bethesda devs could have possibly tried to play through all this, Skyrim would have already been released. Well, they can always re-release it. Re-release it for the Nintendo GameCube. That would be nice. I mean, I am glad that I could help, but I also want to know what's next. That it is. Really does feel like it's the end of the Stranded Light, though. On a quest, just a pamphlet and some closure. Probably get the torch out, because it still is pitch black in like half of this place. And a light spell or Night Eye or Detect Life spell is just gonna make the faces look a bit...
Take care.
Oh, that's hers?
Goodbye.
Okay, so it looks like... Hello? Well, why did she come here in the first place? I think she was like... wait, I think she already mentioned this. Just kind of like all the interests just aligned, like... She couldn't turn to the Imperial Guard because of corruption. And then the same... I wish you couldn't turn to the guilds. I don't know. Anyway, Stranded Light was like the best bet for her to fight the Marisha Kryn, like the most incorruptible type of group out there. And their base happened to be way out of the way, so it's safe.
Good to see.
It's my pleasure. Please continue.
And you... okay.
Shadow hide you.
Yes, I've done quite a bit. Well, the main reason is I was just asked to. And if it's not... if I don't judge it as immoral or against my... I don't know, I do a cost-benefit analysis, but as well as a fuck it analysis as well. Yeah, I'll say pave the way for your freedom. I guess there's one way to interpret it. I'm guessing something along the lines of join us or die, because everybody has said that. Oh, okay. Yeah, they didn't explicitly state that, but I did kind of touch on it though, with the whole like, yeah, you know, you don't view yourself as good or evil, but it's about what you do and not what you are. So like, be sure you fucking follow morals, or else you go and get killed. Yeah, I think it was the shit. Battlespire was a side game, wasn't it? Because it had such an impact on the lore that it feels like it was a main game, like a main quest, but it was actually a spin-off. Well, it was also shut off from everybody, so we wouldn't be able to go back even if you were allowed. Hmm. Yeah, I'd like to know who they are. Oh, okay. I've only ever seen one. Well, I mean, you were there for who knows how long. Makes sense you'd get along better with them than the other dangerous species. Sometimes I forget just how wicked fast we are. As per usual at this point. Alright, so I think the Stranded Light is actually done. Means this very well may be the actual end of our whole our playthrough. Now, Can't believe we might actually be done. Okay, I was considering calling this the conclusion, but because the Stranded Light is only over when it's over, I thought better, and hindsight, I guess I can go change it now, though, midstream. I can do that. Oh, yeah, also the bow handler thing I think I mentioned last time. It still is an issue, but I know it's not my code, so I haven't really touched the handler stuff much, but I did get all of the old mimicry things back in. So I think there's like one new form I wanted to add that got released recently on Nexus, a Daedric Claymore reskin. I'll add, and then that may be it for 1.7. Ooh, also a new feature was level cap based on things aside from just what you've set. Yeah, that's not where it is. There it is. I pick up a weapon, I can show you mimicry. Yeah, like, the level up now, to be precise, the level cap, I implemented a dynamic level cap. So it can be static, like it's always been, or you can set it to one of 4 settings aside from that. Which are, you can set it based on your player level, so it'll never, so for me then the cap will be 109. That way you have to be level 25 before you get a Daedric quality version. So like, that kind of gives you a reason to use Daedric, because if you get Daedric around level 22, which would make it better than use Faragon, at least at that point, for a few levels. You can have it based on skills. Specifically, you can have it based on the sum of Blade, Blunt, and Marksman. Or you can have it be based on the average, which gives you a lower level cap. And then the final one is you can have a level cap be based on your Feign. Instead of Infamy, because you can reset Infamy, which would kind of wreak havoc on level cap, at least from a user standpoint. So if Infamy was constant like Fame is, then I'd include it, but no. Add to the 9 lets you reset it. Yeah. I mean, I'm still sticking with the static level. 301 just because we're already pretty high up. I think I'll keep it with this, but for the next playthrough, I'm gonna try out a different one. I have a lot of prep work to do for the next playthrough. Like, a lot of new mods to install, and then I have to test them. And then, yeah. I'll have to tweak some settings, I'll have to like finish growth armor, and okay, I think we might not be streaming Oblivion for a while. Except for like coding purposes.
Ha! You honor me, Lord.
Yeah, I'm thinking of doing the Isles first next playthrough. Just because that you can get once you're the Mad God. I don't know how much dialogue or... Oh. Okay. I know he'd die at some point, but like, eh. Alright. True Resurrection. That's not the first time I've rezzed him. Oh, there you are. Wait, what? Oh, that was a painbringer. Also, I see a Gromite and I automatically assume we are a Death Dealer, and the Death Dealers are spongy as fuck. So I just always assume it's going to take forever to kill them, and then it doesn't. Because it's a painbringer. Oh, we still have the whole Rootworks. I've been exploring the Rootworks a bit in between streams as a way to kill time. So I've been through, I'd say, a sizable portion of it, but I don't think, definitely not through all of it yet. Then there's arguably more Stranded Light stuff to do. I don't know how much side content I missed. I really don't. Oh, and Cobalt also added some of the extensive alchemy sorting, ingredient sorting pots are now added, or like shelves of them in every home now, thanks to Cobalt. So we may have more options besides the castle for very organized homesteads. I'm not going to move out of it now for this playthrough. We're way too far in, but you know. Oh boy, next playthrough is going to be way longer than this one. Because we're going to have all the same content, plus a lot more. We're going to have Moo installed, going to have some overhauls, going to have like expanded guilds. So I know there's stuff that like adds extra Radiant quests to the Fighters and Mages Guild, so you can do that stuff to actually meet the requirements for the new special missions, instead of just getting a special assignment after special assignment after special assignment. Never got a weapon on the way here, did I? Also, hi. Let's see if bow still works. And bow handler didn't fire. Well, get less annoying magic experience. That just makes Oblivion's magic oh so grand. Although there's also like, what the heck was it, Ultimate Magicka or something like that? Yeah, for me, I said this before, but I'm a longsword guy. I like using the longsword as my main weapon, or at least always having it very prominent. So magic has always been like a utility thing, where like longsword's versatile, I gotta make my character versatile, so I have like utility magic to like heal or buff or make my weapon elemental. That type of stuff. But not direct attacking. Not like fireball or anything. That wasn't my thing. But as I brought up before, I tried out summoning, just as like, let's try something different type of mindset, and then clicked. Now I'm more of a battle mage. Still have a longsword though.
Hello. Your lips to his ears.
This is work in progress. So it's really just straightforward, to the point. I know when it comes to guns, I usually go for assault rifles and carbines with a little bit of SMGs. Shotguns are real satisfying to use, but like as just a general weapon, I tend to go more towards the combat prefix type of weapons.
I stand ready, Lord.
Like in Battlefield 4, when I used to play that, I used like the Scar H, the Bulldog, the M416, the P90. Did they have an MP5 in Battlefield 4? I used that a lot when I played COD as like a kid. But I think the MP5 was just a good gun in those games.
safer now. See you later. What?
Well, in the PDWR, I really like bullpup guns.
Yes?
Yes, I have no other options for nobles of the realm. Right, and
Take care.
nice.
I stand ready, Lord.
Yes, I know this mod was I think released pretty recently, like in the last week, which just fills the gap of like, oh, you kill the Duke and Duchess of Mania and Dementia, and then you don't replace them? What's up with that? We have these vacancies in what you assume are some pretty big spots in the whole bureaucracy of everything, and they're just gone. And that's that. And this quest is just like, well, let's fill those spots. For now, they just added 2 custom NPCs and have them. I was hoping it'd be like you could set anybody to be the Duke or Duchess, but I think that would be a lot of content to make. So, like, either you make them all behave the same, or you actually make them unique, in which case you'd have to make a storyline for every single NPC in the Isles, which, yeah, that's a lot of work. So, the mod so far is just, they can be followers, you make them to give them positions, and that's kind of it. Eventually they'll have quests to add. This will be more immersive, because you just got the quest on startup right now, but eventually you'll get it from like Haskell or something. And then you'll have to like earn their loyalty instead of them just going, okay, I'll be the Duke. But for now, it's good enough. Yeah, I really have gotten used to the variety. Like, when it comes to more melee combat games, I'm fine with having a small tool set, like Hyper Light Drifter. That feels fine to me, like, each tool has its place, type of thing. But when it comes to, like, a shooter, I've just been real spoiled by Battlefield 4, which had, like, over 100 guns, which is really unrealistic as far as game design goes. It's a real outlier, but somehow they pulled that off.
Greetings, my lord. I am at your service.
And I was like, if an FPS doesn't have 100 guns too, then it just kind of feels like, what? Why am I playing this?
Your lips to his ears. See you.
Okay. Anything to this?
Your humble servant, my lord.
Oh yeah, I'm kinda similar. I tend to stick to what I like and not deviate and just try to make it work. But for one, just forcing something that isn't working to work can really ruin your experience. ESO has taught me that, because the balancing is so shite. If you don't do meta stuff, you're just gonna get wrecked in everything. But I do try to branch out every now and again, especially when I get really comfortable with the game. I'm just like, I feel like I've gotten to like an expert or mastery level with what I really like, so let's just try something different and go for the whole new player experience again.
Yes?
Okay, so not much to this. So that's kinda it. Okay, I gotta go change the stream name. Hopefully this gets reflected on the YouTube archive. It should, but whatever. That's something. Like how when I get bored, I just start shooting death balls. haven't done that in a while.
At your command, Lordship.
Wonder, is there... Kind of... Oh, I see it in the water. Oh, you're still alive. Not anymore. Yep. 10,000 pounds of freedom, as they call it.
Hi.
Ooh, this place is populated. Makes sense.
I've heard that even their corpses can be dangerous.
Okay, this hairstyle is crazy.
See you later.
You're still speaking. Stop. Hi.
Alright, this guy. I've seen him before. And you are... Alright. That is a distinctly male face to me, but that is clearly female everything else. That's just a weird person. Well, I mean, there is an AK-47 with a grenade launcher. I have seen that. There's the sniper rifle I've shown you. There's the assault rifles. I don't know what else. I love the fact that in Mordhau they added an M1411. Or so it's a joke, though. Alright, the toggle. Actually, I'll... Can I show this? Actually, the question is, can I quickly find it? Not competitive for honor. No, I don't think so. If they're magic projectiles, they should be fine. And if you're shooting that volume, it might cause a frame drop, but it won't crash it. 'Cause I've seen that amount of projectiles on screen before. It wreaks havoc on the sound system, though, because how Oblivion works is that if you have the same sound effect playing for multiple sources, they all just add to each other's volumes. So you're going to get like one spell impact, but times 40 in the volume, which is just a plain ear rape. But, you know, it won't crash. Alright, so maybe this will get me something. No, that's not quite giving me what I want. I am not used to searching on Reddit. So I know there's a search bar up here, but up below, Heen 11. Yeah, like so the gun in the game you can't normally get, obviously. So it's just broken because it actually is a one-shot kill. But
Hello.
if you're an admin on the server, you can use a console command to give yourself the gun, and there's also a mod that gives everybody the gun. Yeah, and God, there's like a lot of GIFs on the Reddit of people using the guns, especially when it first got added to the game. But I don't know how to quickly look for them, so if I come across them, I'll post them on Discord. But the console command for adding the gun to yourself is parry this. When we're... It's just that. Just type parry this in the console and you get a gun. And here's the funny part. You actually can parry it. Because the bullet, even how it's coded, it seems to be, is... How it coded is that the projectile seems to be just a standard projectile. Either it's like an arrow or a knife or something.
Yes.
may have a bullet mesh, but it still is like a standard projectile that just deals like 100 damage across the board to everybody. But because it's standard, that means you can block it. So yeah, you can block. You can parry this. Anywho, oh, this was the painting that I'm actually a little proud of because this one was magic canvas. So I shot a canvas with magic, and this was the result. It was like fire and paralysis and other bunch of effects in a specific order. It's a nice looking painting. Then we have the sex dungeon thing because some Khajiit critiqued a painting wrong, so the artiste got revenge with this. Yep, seducer eating somebody. Had a bunch of paintings donated off stream. There's a lot more in here than normal.
Yes, what is it?
Nobody knows why she's on a mace, and not even the artist knows. She was in some kind of trance or something when they drew it. So yeah.
Sometimes a sharp blade is the best way to kill a flesh atronach.
This is a very powerful spell.
Goodbye.
Oh yeah. When I lived with that guy to Marin for summary execution, I'm sure he had a good time. Too good of a time, in fact. Actually, maybe I should do... There we go. Meta reviews. I have the dog when I went to Snowmoth and cut open some things.
Yes, what is it?
Hi.
Yeah, the aerial view. Apparently people actually come here to use this painting as a map. Or at least so I have been told. By the way. Income. There we go. 25k. Oh, it's not quite wide enough. I can get hitched on it, but it's not quite wide enough to properly stand. Like here. Not quite. Get some momentum. There we are. That doesn't have a mesh. Just show that to you. See, that has no collision mesh on it, which is just... that drives me mad, because I have tried to jump on that so many times. It doesn't have a collision mesh. Anywho, we have our seducer. Oh, another seducer painting. A Zivlai painting up there. The man-eating mushroom plants, which don't actually exist, but plays on people's fears. I don't even know what species of Asia that is. Oh wait, that's Malamar. Okay. And then I think there was... might be a couple more paintings in here. Back here... let's see, the Bard. I think that's a Mazcan? It's like a Mazcan. Not just the arm, I mean the eyes also have that blue glow that's characteristic of Mazcan. Desert. I don't know why that's there, but it is. Then we have me in a fish tank for no real reason. I can't tell if the soup is like actual soup or if it's just an exhibit. I don't know. With that, we are an hour in and practically done. There's nothing more to do. I guess we can fire off some spells. I really do want to fire spells, but I don't want to, like, kill everything in a fucking 3-mile radius. Whelm's gonna be too retarded. Overwhelm's gonna be way worse. Oh, wait. There's something I can do. But first off, we do have something that's coming at us. So, I'm thinking... Slow Inferno? Oh, it's just a... just this thing. Yeah, auto. I did indeed make a save then. Okay, I'll let the Oriole take care of that. So, we are going to do a bit of a send-off of my own way. I don't know if I should do this in Cyrodiil or the Shivering Isles, though. No, let's do it in Cyrodiil. Perfect call. Alright, so let's first head off. Alright, 3 stacks. And we need to go off-world. Way south. There we are. Where there's some visibility. Yeah, here's like an odd bug. I'm swimming in midair. But, yeah, this bug can really only happen out here, and that's because you have to exit water from the side instead of surfacing. So it ends the swimming state by you hitting the surface and then maybe touching ground. But because the water is just kind of floating, or rather it doesn't really have an end to it, we don't surface, so we don't trigger the flags. We're swimming. Oh, we are slowly losing altitude though. If I do this long enough, we will hit ground. Also, I can just swim straight down too. Alright, so the main reason for doing this, go for 30 seconds out. Another 30 seconds. See how far this takes us. Yeah, I do this pretty often in my spare time, though. Like, I just kind of get bored and like, oh, let's just run off the edge of the map. Yeah, assuming you had either the magic resistance or fire resistance to back it up, you could break Earth's gravitational pull and just go hurtling out into space. Not quite sure how you get back, but, you know. Alright, glad we have the quest marker there to properly land myself. So. Okay, I probably shouldn't have done that. Is that 2 stack? 3 stack. 4 stack. 5 stack. 6 stack. Refresh the 30-second. 7 stack. 8 stack. And 9 stack. There we go. I can see almost see white gold from here. Not loaded in yet. Oh, there it was. No, still can't see white gold. Oh, we are high. All those mountains are disappearing. So, yeah. I can't see the ground at all. I wonder if we're still going up. I really can't tell because there's no ground to reference. uh, uh, maybe. Mostly I've just kind of taken flight across Cyrodiil. Oh, there's the ground. White gold doesn't have collision. I've tried landing on top of it. Oh, there's a place. Yes, that was going airborne with 9 stacks of runner. Oh, there's the edge of the map again. That? No, that's just a rock. Oh, wait, that actually is a town. Is that Kavash? That's Kavash, right? Yeah, that's Kavash. Okay, I didn't quite recognize the hill. And here, there's Anvil. This is the edge of the world. Let's go a bit further. Okay, that's really weird. Yeah, it really is nice. And because I'm so fast, I really don't appreciate just how large the map is. It feels so tiny. It looks so freaky from the actual normal camera. Oh, okay. Map is way out of... Okay, there we go. I broke swimming. Oh. Oh, that's why we're in this part of the map, where we don't actually have ground. We just keep getting popped up. Okay, so let's go for the longer runners. Now the 30-second runners. Break invincibility. Actually see yourselves. Once we break the 10th sound barrier. Alright, starting to see the map. And there's some of the... Okay. Okay. Alright. Alright, we're airborne again. See if I can get to Shaden Hall before I lose sight of the ground. Oh, there's the white... Okay, that's the white gold tower. And it's already out of sight. Alright, I don't know where Shaden Hall is then. We are in the Millis Mountains, though. Where's Masser? I don't see the moon anymore. That seems once you go out of, it seems like a certain amount beyond the border is like generated by the devs or by the tools they use, but beyond that point, it seems like engine auto-generated, just flat terrain. Yeah, it seems like once you get to the point where it's just straight flat ground on the edge of the map, that's just like auto-engine generated. Like here. This really seems like it's just auto-generated by the engine. Anywho, I chose to use in Cyrodiil because, well, it's a much larger map than the Isles, so you can actually get a better view when you go aerial. Yeah, like, this goes out infinitely. I've gone outwards like this for an hour. Real time. And there is no end. I mean, periodically you run across some, like, blocks of water. Which probably has something to do with, I don't know, default settings based on coordinates or something. They move so fast. How's walk speed? This is walk speed. Alright, you have like 30 seconds left on the EXs. Oh, that's right, I think... No, wait. It's not going up because we're just refreshing what we already have. And 9 stacks. Walking with 9 stacks, and then running. I wonder when we'll hit land. Oh, there it is. Also, while we are out here, I do want to shoot... Overwhelm is just to damage health. Yeah, where's the projectile? Oh, we are way faster than this thing. Like, where? What? Okay, so this is like 300-foot projectile. Just really long, but like... What? It's just gone. Oh, and there we go. I think we're down to 6 stacks, though. I think the normal runners already wore off. Oh, and there's some airborne. Yeah, there we are. Ooh, there's Isles. There's white gold. I'm just gonna land in, I don't know, is this Elsewood or Elsewood? Is this Elsewhere or Valent Land? I think it's Elsewhere. Better, because I can't be shot down. Not to mention my missiles are... I don't think there's any life here, but there won't be now. Whenever that hits ground. We actually broke the sound. So hello there. I want to go back. I know it's like cool to see how far out you can go, but like featureless void is only fun for so long. Oh yeah, this is all auto-generated, so there Not all of it. Everything outside the border is just auto-generated by their tools. Like, they... What I'd heard from, like, an analysis of Oblivion talk on it a while ago was that they actually procedurally generated the entire forests for Oblivion. And did a little bit of hand touch-up, but all the stuff that's, like, outside the border that you only see from a distance, they just kind of left as is, which is what all this is. This is all just procedurally generated stuff. Oh, there's Frostcrag. Yeah, but, well, mods can help with that. So I think that's coral down there. Just barely see the walls and stuff. Which means right there is Battlehorn. And the border would be around here. And there's Kavach. That should be High Rock. There's Rothgar. This direction. I don't think Rothgar's on the map. I think it's way too far out. Yeah, we hit like the edge of the... That's a neat cleave. Oh, this has no collision. I wonder if there's a cleave there. Alright, let's see if we can... Alright. Ah, finally a crash. That's how the world ends. I'd say that was a satisfying finish. Yeah, I assume that has to do with like snapping to place. Which is the fact that what you'll notice, I may have demonstrated a few times, is that the movement system doesn't... When you hit W, you actually just move forward on the XY plane. There is no Z movement to it. What happens is the game then just looks at the ground you're standing on and then adds Z movement to appropriate to the angle. Which is why when you're standing still and hit W, you just, on a slope, you just go airborne. But when you're already running, you snap to it. So it probably has to do with that. Also, I have tried to get myself squished between walls because there was this one modded map that had some raising pillars. I just hopped onto them as they're going up to the ceiling to see if it actually would kill me, and you just clip through the wall. You can't actually like get crushed to death in Oblivion unless it's a scripted effect. At which point it wouldn't really be getting crushed to death, it would just be hitting a kill zone trigger. Oh, it was useful because I did use it to scale that mountain really fast right at the end. Just kind of hop off the map and hop back on right at the peak. Alright, with a little bit of time left, I'll look up more parry this stuff. I think it was called Gun How was one of them. I'll look only for Reddit stuff though. Whatever, Warnhound 1411. I really wish I knew how to actually like look up stuff on Reddit more with better filters. Yes, I already do that and I love doing it. Just how does stuff work as opposed to making it. And now I'm getting into making it. Okay, we are looking at our Mord How. I don't know why it gave me results outside of that though. Well, I'll look for 1411. Yeah, like our Joe Rogan. Our Borbin, like none of this is from freaking our Mord How. I don't get that. Oh. Right, let's go armored out. Here we are. Yeah, it really does. Now, which one? Oh, right, there's this screenshot. Yeah. Recreating Verdun in a medieval game. It's a really good screenshot, though. Let's see, what else was there? Oh, yeah, I forget what I got all of it from. I know the most I've ever gotten from a post was like 1.1k or something. Hmm. Look up Gunhow and Mordau. Wait, why did it search for... Why is it searching for empty string? What to search? Well, I'll try to bury this again. That's some good posing. Gosh. Oh no, that's probably a sound. Well, just be very conscious that social media is designed to be addicting and can be a real time waster. I still struggle with it. I know when I first got into it, I kind of spent all day on like Imgur, and now I still spend a fair chunk of my day, but I'm more conscious of the fact that I'm on it. Oh, there's a bear trap behind him. He's fighting around it. Wait. Wait, what? The fucking need. Gosh, it's like there's one thing I remember. I doubt I have it saved, but well, whatever. Worth a shot, I guess. Yeah, honestly, not using it at all is something that I envy, because I think I'm on here for maybe a couple hours total each day. Okay, let's see. Oh, I don't think I saved it. There isn't much that I saved because you can't really organize this that well. Or at least I don't know how if there is. So I kind of tend not to save things. Yeah, if you're going to use it for actual promotion, that should be pretty good. Now, is this what I think? Or it could just be a really good fight. It's probably just a really good fight. Ah, there's the clashes. Those don't happen that often anymore, but they used to happen quite a lot. It's really fun to watch, even to be a part of. Because it's just that air of disbelief as we keep swinging that's actually happening. If I look up RDM. Oh yeah, I'd really only recommend YouTube for archiving. But like as a social media platform, hell no, the comment system is an absolute mess. The stuff isn't even ordered that well. Like how the hell do they even determine top comment? Uh, what was it? I don't think I can find it, but it was an old clip of, it was a little bit after the 1411 was added, that it was just a clip of like an admin having a good duel, and I think maybe someone interrupted them, maybe not, but it was just he's having a good fight, and he got the enemy down to like one last hit, and then he just pulls out the pistol and shoots him. I can't say I'm not on Twitter. I think it also has infinite ammo. That might have been the mod though. So yeah, that's the gun. Admins get it. Or admins can get it. And this here's the growth armor. Get its grips. And then minimize that because object window blocks chat. And then normally I'd have the growth weapon up as well, so I have all the scripts here to reference, but I forgot to set it when I went to work, so So I'm pretty proud of this one. Well, actually, I should probably start with manager, the main, which I'm just kind of building incrementally. So I've got, because it's 6 items instead of 1, the main just looks a lot longer and more busy than before. It is indeed more busy, but it's not much more calm. It's not a lot more work, just more items to do. Yeah. Yeah, long haul, they may forget it. I really don't even give out my personal details. I definitely don't have any pictures of myself. As for names, I just go by whatever I use online. Okay, so we have the debug flag set here because, as I said, I use... Do I even have it in Manager? Don't. Oh wait, I do. So I have print C that I was using before for testing, just to make sure stuff works, but then I have to delete them afterwards so it won't clog up the console log. But this time around, I'm using debug print, which is print C, except it only fires when debug mode is set. And I made that a global, so I can toggle debug mode in-game whenever I want. Which is just so nice, because I can leave debug messages in. As well as if any bugs pop up later on, I can just toggle debug if I have an idea of what causes it. I can't say I've had bad experiences with it, but like I haven't been doxxed. But I still I separate my online from offline identity, and I'm more associated with my online identity. So I much prefer keeping them separate and treating each as their own. Anywho, I'm using arrays now. I was not that comfortable with arrays when I made the growth weapon, and now I'm using them, and they are really nice. They let me do a lot of stuff, so we're kind of closer to C++ now, kinda. Still don't have classes, but we do have multi-dimensional arrays, which is huge. That'll make the set model stuff way easier on me. Oh, right. I should probably go into default in... Yeah. Eh. Oh, then why am I showing this code? Okay, how's this gonna work? Let's get nth effect item after value freezes the game, so can't use that. Apparently the packet loss has decided to act up more. It was fairly solid most of the stream, but now it seems to be being pretty frequent. Fuck Concast. How am I gonna do this? Yeah, so this... Oh, hello. Like, the set works, but the get doesn't seem to, or at least if there's multiple. Like, it's if there's one fortify effect, this works fine, but if there's multiple, it doesn't. Which is the real issue. Growth weapon worked fine though, we went by names. Let's see. Alright, there's string compare. But let's see, where was string compare? Probably getting dinner again. Anyway. Here are string variables. So one thing I'm kind of iffy on is contents are preserved in the save game. The fact that because of this, they don't do a lot of cleanup with strings. because string vars can be pointers to other strings. Like, they aren't just actual strings, they can be pointers to the strings. So as a result, like if they go, oh, you're exiting a function, so we should delete the string vars, but when the string vars is a pointer to a string in another function, in which case you'd kind of delete it for both, and so they realize that and just don't delete it, so we have to delete stuff ourselves. So I'm fine with that on functions, but like in main, manager, we make a bunch of string vars. And we reuse them. We don't have any excess string vars, but like I'm not that bit iffy on the fact that iffy on whether I should really clean them up or not. As I said, we use them. I guess I should just destruct them when I'm not using them. So we have some more permanent-ish string vars, like for names. Anywho. Here we are, compare. Okay. Looks like I can't do a partial. Wait, what's such a find? There should be a find, right? Here we are. Welcome back. First occurrence of substring within a string variable. I wonder what find returns if it doesn't find anything. Oh, there we are. -1. Alright, I can use this. Some of them are. I can't say I look at dev jokes that much, but oh boy. That stuff can be real good. Gosh, where was I with this? Alright, yeah. So we can actually get spices for arrays, which is really nice. So that's manager. What I feel proud about, though, is cleanup. uh, that's what makes them. That's what makes them funny. Yeah, what I feel proud about with cleanup is that this is the equivalent of force purge in growth weapon, and that just get rid of handlers. This one, however, cleanup, what it does is it removes handlers too, but it also reevaluates the equip flag, like resets it and reevaluates, like directly. It actually gets if we're equipped, and then it resets the handlers if necessary, and then you have a mode to get rid of all other stuff too. It's like, that's just so nice. Cookie? So I can tell you a cookie is my favorite snack. Oh, that one was too obvious. But yes, I really like cleanup. I know it's not too impressive of a function, but just the way it corrects everything for me. For like before with force purge, it's like I have to call force purge and I have to reset handlers or reevaluate stuff afterwards. But here it's all handled within cleanup. It will actually restore what it removes if it needs to restore it. Oh boy, the other quest. So this is how I handle the XP per. So I do have it set up so that you actually do get XP for each damage type you take, but it's not perfectly accurate. I did the even attribution type of thing I mentioned because just I explained it up at the top in the docs. XP is evenly distributed, and that's just because it's theoretically possible that we get exactly how much, but like, no. Yeah, this is a lot simpler and shorter than I thought it would be. We just check all the flags, so we get the divisor, and then we check we got more than non-normal weapon damage, and then we just add on the XP to the right types, and then we just check if we're still taking damage from those types. Which, conveniently enough, there's the has magic effect, which actually check because damage over time actually appears in your active effects list. So we just do has magic effect on yourself for the damage effect, and that'll tell us if you're still suffering from damage over time. And this will check by default every 10th of a second, so it's not perfectly accurate to the timers, but whatever. It won't miss any ticks though, or go over. Just it may get when it comes to the distribution, you may get a little bit more inaccurate than it already is. It's also paralysis too, which is time based. And yes, you can get normal weapon resistance. I did decide you can do that. Here's the work in progress ini. I still don't actually have an ini file, I'm just using this. So I have debug set to 1, so that makes testing just easier. I need to expand level up variables and stuff. There's some more things to add I have in mind. Gosh, I already forgot what variables I was going to add, though. I mean, there's like the level type. Oh, the break type, right? Because we have 6 items, I need to have a setting for how many items have to get broken for the, breaking stuff to activate. Though I don't have any of it implemented yet, so it's just this variable for now. Alright, the odd thing. Oh, and also name-wise, I have prefixes and postfixes now, and these are the flags for setting them per item, so we have the actual name of the item, which I went for actual accurate names instead of what they have in-game. Because Kuros is a Kuros, that they got that right. But Greaves, that's not it's not the thigh stuff. The greave is what protects your shin. So that would be a part of what they called boots. So that's called greaves. And the sabaton is actually what protects the top of your foot. Like if you ever have like a metal shoe, that's a sabaton. But instead we have those shin protectors, which are greaves. Gauntlets, a helmet. You can call it a helm or a helmet. I always get stuck between the two. Cuisse is what you actually call what protects the thighs, which is also French for thigh. Very direct naming. Then you have prefix and postfix, so by default it'll be Zephyros, Kuros, Zephyros, Greaves, Zephyros, Gauntlets, and so on. But you can change these strings, you can set these flags, and you can make it Zephyros, Shield of Zephyros. Or you can have it so, like, you have Zephyros armor, and then you just have the Shield of Reflecting. Have them, each piece have unique names if you want. And there's the base stats. This was a little difficult, a little tedious to make, which is I have it as 2/3 of iron armor stats at base. These are the variable names. for any kind of variables that are exposed in the ini file, I name with a little what I was taught in college, which is help people read. You have a little prefix to the variable name to tell you what type it is. So string underscore for string, S for short, L for long, F for float. Let is so there aren't any parameters in here, so this isn't gonna like show us an actual viable way to do things. But let x equal 5 is the OBSE way to do it. The engine way is set x to 5. That's not how you declare, that's how you set stuff. Just set x to 5 is very literal, because it's just the box standard construction set stuff, so it's not very flexible. It just assigns values to things. That's really all it can do. If you want to do anything more complex, then you have to use let. Like if you want to use strings, if you want to concatenate stuff, if you want to do some arithmetic. You can do some arithmetic with set, but you can't do that complex arithmetic. Let allows you to do some very complex stuff, and also, where was it? I think it was in Manager. Yeah, you can also do double equations. You cannot do that with set, at least I don't think you can. Never tried it. Let me see. Yeah, that throws an error. So let lets you actually do, more C++ thing of actually doing a double set, or however many you want. I was gonna like put them all here, but this goes like off screen to the right if I make them all in one line, and I have to consider readability. I have to consider the fact that someone else is going to read this code. Yeah, for here's like an odd thing. A couple of odd things with armor. One is that you know that if you have Master of Light Armor, Master of Heavy Armor, then it doesn't matter which one you pick, they get the same AR rating. That's actually not the case, because some reason fur and leather armor, like fur armor, is absolute trash, and even at plus 50% is only like half as good as iron armor. And leather armor is still not up to par with steel. So even if we have mastery, you're still not as strong as steel, but you're kind of on par with ironish. Maybe actually a bit better than iron. It's like they don't match up, but everything after that, when you go to Elven and Dwarven or Glass and Daedric, it's like the heavy armor is literally just 50% stronger than the light armor for everything beyond the leather and fur tiers. It's weird, and that's because I was aiming to follow that trend. When I had to kind of like compare iron and fur armor, I'm just like, well, shit, don't quite match up, so I can't just copy fur armor stats. So I had to actually figure out what I wanted to do, if I wanted to go halfway or 2/3 or closer to fur, closer to iron. I ended up doing 2/3 iron. Yeah. That was the first weird thing. The second weird thing is I can show this. So as you can see, AR here is at 10.00. And as you can guess, in-game that will be shown as 10, which also tips you to the fact that there can actually be half ARs in-game. Is there anything here? Yeah, 7.5 AR, which only is shown as a 7. But here's the thing, even though that's shown as a float, even though it's shown as a 10 in game, and that's a 10.00 in the engine. That's not a float. That's a fucking int. Look at these numbers here. It's a 700. Because, like, what it actually uses. Look here. This is the armor rating column. It's that 10.00 is actually 1,000. That caused such a. I was like, alright, let's set the AR to 10. And I go in game and the AR is a 1. And I'm like, what the heck's wrong with this? All over the place with that. Like, they even have a proper float type. So, like, what? I mean, you could think, like, maybe it's space, because a float would take up more space than a short, but then they have weight also as a float. And they use value as a long and health as a long. So then, like, why the heck is AR not also a float? Anyway, because of that, we have all the AR values are times 100, and I mentioned it up here with the comment. Yeah, it kind of is. I'm really used to C and C++, though. I have a feeling JavaScript would probably feel a little easy once I get the hang of it, but I'd have to get over the whole it's different hurdle, which is really the biggest barrier for me trying out other stuff. It's just like, this isn't what I know. My common sense doesn't apply, then I have to kind of readjust it for the language. Once I readjust it, it should be pretty easy, like this is. This has been. Once I got adjusted to it, it was really easy, but it was already close to C to begin with, so it wasn't that hard of an adjustment. Anywho, the base values here, of course, were the light armor variant, because the engine actually defaults to light armor. I have to show again. Like that, here you have the setting. Yeah, lights first, and then heavy. So, and then we have the heavy multipliers down here. Yeah, that's how it should be. As I said, you don't have to memorize everything, because you can just Google the stuff you don't know. It's more about knowing how to solve all the problems. Ooh, this. Oh boy, this function. So it's a pretty simple function, but it has a very unique, specialized purpose. So you know how I showed the icon next to the message with the growth weapon? I have to bring up the object window again. So this has two icon paths, a male and a female. So I can't just do get icon because it doesn't know which one to get. So I have to use a very specific get biped icon path. And then I made this function, which is get PC biped icon path, which I thought was too long to type, so just get PC bip. And it just gives you either the male or female biped icon path, depending on what the player's gender is. And that's that. It's very special, but also very simple. Oh gosh, I haven't checked Sobits later in a while. I pop in every now and again, but I haven't done so recently. Coding chat, right? Yeah, that sucks. Yeah, so the thing with, like, this scripting language, though, and I'll do it just to show you. So first off, this should... So yeah, missing parentheses does throw an error in this. But no parentheses is not an error. In fact, by default, the construction set actually wants you to code like this with no parentheses. Which means if I do, like, get PC is male, and then I do, I don't know, say, and one, it might actually interpret the and1 as another parameter for get PC as sex if it could take more parameters. Which is why the parentheses are really strongly advised, but they aren't necessary. Well, it's easier to type out, and I think for novice programmers, it's probably a little better for learning, but yeah, for actual, like, for both readability as well as just error stuff, it's just, no, always put parentheses. And it's, of course, where it's allowed. Because here's something that's, I think this should work. I do eval, yeah, so, thing is, the if isn't as, bit right. Thing is, the if in the CS isn't as robust as you'd think. Like, if you pass it a bunch of custom functions, I think I have it in here. Not in there. Yeah, here it is. So AR size will actually throw an error in the if statement, so you have to use. So you have to actually. You have to use the OBSE eval statement inside the if, which basically has OBSE actually evaluate what's inside the parentheses, and then pass that back to the if statement, so it can actually the ifs can actually make sense of it. But there's another like weird thing with this, which is that if I do this, that throws an error. However, if I eval the eval, now I can put it in parentheses. And there's XP Logger, which I copied almost verbatim from the growth weapon. The issue is that because XP is now a float, because you take floating point damage and not actual just integer damage, I have to include for the float, and I also have to include the buffer. The buffer actually includes both the decimal point and the decimals afterwards. So I actually have to increase the buffer size by 3 for each of these integers. I had to learn that. Then we got manager, which showed you. Object shield, that was an old script I used to try and work around a bug. So, so you know the whole on equip and on. Actually, I have it here. So you know you have your begin on equip and on unequip blocks that I use for weapon. Those run just fine, except you know how like you can equip stuff in your inventory. Like you don't have to unequip the armor first. You can just click on another piece and then it'll equip that when equipping the old one. If you do that with a shield, it technically does not unequip the shield. Like it unequips the shield, but doesn't actually unequip the shield. Because the unequip block for the shield does not run if you just override it with another shield. And so because of that, the equip flag was just getting fucked up. So at first I thought to just make it its own script specifically. And then just have like a handler that would handle on equip for it. But then I realized I could then actually use those handlers for everything, and not just the shield. So then I did that. So this is actually like a dead script that eventually I'll rename and repurpose for something, but for now it's just kind of there and not in use. And if I never use it, I'll end up deleting it and test for it because I don't quite trust the construction set to delete it properly. Yeah, staying up sounds like I've fallen for this a lot. That's why my sleep got disrupted the past week, is because I just stayed up a little bit later because I wanted to like implement an idea I had. I think it was actually the dynamic level cap is what I did last. But yeah, I get how hard it can be to resist it, but please do resist it because it'll just how it fucks up your sleep is not worth how fucked up sleep fucks up everything else. Anyway, so on object is really just it's the on drop block, and I think there even is an on drop handler too, but I decided not to use it. I mean, the best way to do that would be to more efficiently make use of your time. It's not worth it to try and push yourself to stay up later, because the long-term repercussions of that I am dealing with, and you should not deal with those. So instead, find ways to be more efficient, to get to work more with the day that you have, instead of trying to expand your day. Basically, never sacrifice sleep for work. Never do that. Honestly, never sacrifice sleep for anything, unless it's life-threatening. Anyway, this is a handler that is set up. Do I have set handler? I do have them. Here we are. So this is actually run, and it actually takes an array. So this is one of the first functions I made that actually like takes an array as a parameter in OBSE. And with this, as you can see, it just creates the equip and unequip handlers for everything in the array. So this, we pass it player ref as the target, and then we pass all of our object IDs in items. So we create unequip and non-unequip handlers, which of course increment the equip flag for each piece we have, which if we have more than 0, then we set the handlers, and if we have less than 0, or if we have 0 or less, we then get rid of the handlers. And then I have a check here for less than or equal to 0, just in case for some reason the equip flag gets fucked up, and de-equipping it like brings it down to like a -3. In case that somehow happens, we have it check for that and then reset to 0. What to show after that? Also gotten more uniform in the naming conventions. Like my naming convention for a weapon, I had some logic behind it, but I didn't keep it consistent, where it kind of changed my mind about how I wanted to name things as time went on, so the names ended up being kind of all over the place. Now I've kind of decided on a more uniform way, where I'm putting set in front of a lot of things. Like set effect magnitude, set enchantment, set name, set resist, set stat, set weight, set XP rec. And then like on whatever for handlers, it should be easier to find and identify. I love being up at that time of day. I think I'll probably go to sleep soon after the stream, but second wind might have kicked in and I might be up for the long haul. I really hope not, but that I can't deny it. And also, of course, here we have good use of debug print. Oh, have I? Oh, I haven't. I have not. Oh, I need to show the screenshot. Oh boy. So I took this to demonstrate exactly how bad this is. Actually, what the heck was this? Never mind. That was what I thought was snare, wasn't. So this here, what you're seeing is here. It's this debug print coming out saying I took damage. And this is about 3 frames worth of ticks. Yes, like about 3, maybe 4 frames of damage over time ticks. This is less than 10th of a second of damage over time. You get hit this many times for that minuscule amount of damage. Ugh, it just floods the log. Ugh. Taking like 15 seconds of this. That is a great way to look at life. You know the saying, fail faster. Oh yeah, it's a pain. I think I can... Hold on. I can probably just go on game and show it. So I had to have a test save. $21.82. Alright, so we have the basic stuff, like I printed out the AR just to like be sure things are set right. That's the debug print for cleanup running up there. Set enchantment working. As you can see, it gets set here, and then how I have it work. So it doesn't actually add fire resistance right now because it's for testing purposes, but just as a little thing. So this actually keeps track of how much fire, frost, shock, magic, normal weapon, and paralysis you take, and gives you resistances, each of them. So if you set that to 502, give it about half a second, and you can see it runs here. So updating resist fire, and then this is it's going through 5 enchantments to add this stuff. So now we have Fortify Int 1 on all of these pieces, and it should increase by 1% every 500 damage you take, for a total of like 5% increments every time, every 500 damage. Again, the problem I had is that when you have 2 Fortify effects, and you try to do get nth effect item actor value, it freezes the game. So I'm going to have to use some string names to get around that. Anywho. Oh, actually, hitting this guy might actually cause the game to freeze. I won't update. Oh, I don't actually have a way to remove the effect, do I? Forgot about that. Never thought about getting set back to 0. Anywho. So we just got hit for that long. And this is already how many ticks we've got. I can only scroll up 4 pages. So those that's still taking messages, that appears every 10th of a second. Every 10th of a second that's appearing. We have 3 pages above that, and there's probably even more ticks. But yeah. It's really bad. Like, the end result is that you get this continuous decrease in your health bar instead of it going down by chunks, which is, like, nice, but for debugging, holy hell. Yeah. That's that. This is just standard stuff. This would have been the only handler if I did not do the whole, like, growing resistances per type thing. And here's what's important about the equip handler is that you actually have your XP gain divided by the amount of pieces you have equipped. So the less you have equipped in the armor, the less XP you get. I don't have too many personal files. It's kind of organized, but not a lot. Like my folder trees only go like 1 or 2 folders deep. I tend not to. Most organized I've probably ever been at this point would be the self mods here, because these have to be released. I have not updated this folder in a while. In like a week, I haven't updated that. But yeah, we have just all the old releases, the current one. Yeah, I kind of started doing that. I'm not going to show that on stream though. There's some stuff Twitch and YouTube not liking there. Anyway, set damage, it's kind of basic. And yes, I do bring that up here in the description. Damage over time effects take every frame, so it's recommended to comment out debug print when dealing with them. I have on magic hit, and as I said, I cannot directly get how much fire damage you take, or how much frost damage, or however much specific type damage. I can get total damage you take because of on damage, and I can get the fact that you were hit by a magic effect, but not how much of the damage you took comes from that magic effect. So I instead have these flag setters. There's GitHub. GitHub's really good for that. It does keep a history of all your changes. And for me, I just, because I have to zip them up just to submit them to the Nexus that already helped with the archiving for older versions, so I just keep those. And then the new folder, then the folder I'm working on, just rename to the current version. So, yeah, again, we just, all the Xandler does is it just says, are you hit by these effects? If so, then we just tag the logging. Except hostile other, because I realized damage health is the only way to get resist magic, and that's a really rare effect. So I decided to be a little merciful and have it be any kind of uncategorized effect, like say it's damage fatigue or drain attribute, then that also counts towards resist magic, and it gives you a small but fixed amount of a +3 is currently set in the ini. And it also kick off the logger, because otherwise the logger doesn't, because this actually fires before on damage does, so that logger won't pick up any additions from non-damaging effects. Then we have on weapon hit, and this just tags for whether you have a weapon that's normal or not. So like, does it ignore normal weapon resistance? Because if it obeys normal weapon resistance, then it will contribute XP towards that resistance stat. Okay, then I've set effect magnitude, which is what I was currently working on, which this is, I made it actually, originally it was just going to be like, alright, this is something that's going to increment each of the resist effects on the enchantments, and do just that. But then I thought, well, I could actually make it more universal. I can have it be like you pass it any enchantment and some effects, and it'll just increment that effect by the magnitude you give it. So I can use this actually to level up everything once I actually get it working, because right now it works for everything except for when you have 2 fortify effects. If you have 2 fortify effects, this line causes a freeze. I'm gonna have to work around that, but otherwise it works flawlessly. I still need to actually add the remove block if the magnitude is 0. I'll note that for later. So as you can see, the documentation is not done up top, and how I do this is because this is a lot to type out. I just copy and paste. I just do a Control-Alt copy, and I just paste it into a new script. So you'll have stuff like this that lingers from the old one. Set enchants. Yes, so this one actually takes 2 arrays. It takes some objects and some enchantments, and it will pair the two, which is why it will go up to whatever the smaller size array is. And then it will, of course, it will go through, pair them, and go with the indexes for each. So I can't do a for each because a for each loop does not tell me what the index is. I have to do a makeshift for loop. And then I do get magic count, because originally I was going to put this all in manager, like I did with the growth weapon. Then I realized I'd have to type this out like 6 times with the checks for get magic item effect count. Like, let's just make a function to do it. And so I did. And a set name, which pretty much just adds the prefix and postfix to stuff based on the flag. 3 does nothing because we omit both, and I just commented out that so that way you can be sure this is what it does. And a little bit of accounting for user error, because you can set that flag value to whatever you want in the ini file. I tell you what their acceptable value is, but if you decide to use an unacceptable value, instead of having 0 marked as omit neither, I instead don't check for 0, I just cover it with else. So if you have it for any kind of invalid value, it's going to do a default to 0. And I've set resist, which this was one of the first ones I did with, I think, with arrays. So it's not as, because I feel like I might be able to make this more universally usable as opposed to just specifically for resists, but it is faster like this though, which speed may be more worthwhile given how old the engine is. Anyway, this pretty much just, you pass it the amount that each resistance should have, the magnitudes, and then you pass it an array full of all the enchantments, and then it'll just go through each of the enchantments. Yeah, we do a for each loop for each of them, and then we just go through each and add the effects if the magnitude is greater than 0. Because you actually can add a 0 magnitude effect to enchantments. And you can also add an enchantment with no effects to an item. And it all still kind of counts as enchanted by the system. So, to avoid that, because that doesn't look right. And we have set stat. I'm not sure if I'll do level imp stats. I have to think about that. But yeah, for now we just have set stat for initialization, and I have the debug print here because so that quirk of how AR works, where it's actually an int divided by 100 and not a float. Everything else works as expected. You have set weight, which, even though there is a weight stat, this is in reference to light versus heavy armor. That should be rather obvious to people who play the game. I remember at first I actually forgot set armor type at the end. So we still had, like, we had iron armor with iron armor stats, but it was set as light armor when you initialized. And I do the convenient thing of I actually check the armor type if it matches the flag at the start, so that way we know whether we actually have to change stats or not. Nice. And then finally XP rec. So after this, I still have to do all the enchantment systems, but I'm focusing on resistance XP for now. I'll get that done. And then, yeah, then I'll do enchantment systems. I'm gonna get the initializer block completely fleshed out first. And then I'll work on all the stuff in game mode and menu mode, like for things like changing form or level ups. Resistances I have recalculated in real time, as you saw with the test, so every half second it'll actually recalc. Yeah, I too find my mod impressive. Like, it's just once I started to actually take a look at like the total line count, I'm just like, wow, this is maybe the largest thing I've ever coded. And at the end, I'm just really proud that I made something this huge. But yeah, I think if you're gonna release, I have learned some important lessons though, because it's the first big mod I released on the Nexus. One is that you need images. I didn't release with many images and they weren't that good. So that, like, people, they look at the thumbnail first and foremost. So that had better be freaking good, and mine was not, so that definitely cut it down, the users. I've changed that though with the most recently, but other thing is that it only shows hot mods. I'll show it when I get to it. I have a faster one, but it exposes some personal information, so I don't have this bookmarked. Just go down there. So yeah, I added images, so oh yeah. So yeah, like after I released 1.6.1, I decided to actually do a proper job on the images. So I actually got a poser mod. So you can't do these poses in game, you have to get a mod for it, of course, as I just mentioned. But I did that for taking the screenshots, and I did a full page of each weapon type. So 7 great swords, 7 bastards, 7 long, 7 short, and so on, all the way down to the end. Different pose for each type to help also distinguish them. So this way, it's not all of them because that's just a lot of work to show, but this gives you a pretty good sample size of what you can expect to find in the mod. And of course, 1.7, which I plan to drop at the same time as Growth Armor, adds Mimicry, which allows you to... I'll just fucking show that in game. Yeah, the other thing was that there is the hot mods section on Oblivion. And if your mod makes it into the hot mods section, it gets a huge spike in views and downloads and endorsements. Just a huge spike in traffic. But that's only for like mods released in like the last week or two. So I didn't have that many options to start with. So I plan to make better use of that time frame with Growth Armor. Well, there already are some Daedric stuff. Yeah, I kind of held back on the vanilla because I'm really sick of it, but there is some. There's the Daedric Katana, and there's the vanilla forms, and there is a Daedric Claymore mod that was released kind of recently. I'll go back and show it. So, like this part, this only shows for like mods. Only mods released in like the last couple of weeks can show up in here. And if it shows up in here, you get a huge spike in traffic. I got up to like about here, and I sat here for like a few days. It starts here, and then it works its way up until you get to the top 2 spots. So I was in the top 3 for a few days. And that was the big shot for publicity, and I kind of missed it. So, Then again, I plan to link Growth Weapon in the description for Growth Armor when I release that. So it should hopefully Growth Armor will hit hot mods, and that will help boost growth weapons. Now then, last week... Here it is. So I plan to add this 1.7. This obviously came out after my released mod, but this is a reskin for the Daedric Claymore, but I can make it its own separate thing because I'm a modder. The armor is the modder's own personal thing. It's a work in progress, so that you can't get the armor. Cool as you might find it. I like this armor back here. Not so much a fan of this. Yeah, it is sick armor, but it's not my taste armor. This is more my taste armor. Not the Skyrim helm, just like, it's more form-fitting. I like that. Yeah, the sword's also really cool. I'm gonna add that. Yeah, you could do that. Alright, okay. Yeah, so there's a Daedric for this. There is, of course, the... all the way to the end, there's the vanilla stuff. There might be some Daedric of other things. There is the... marksman... yeah, staff. There's a Daedric staff. For the most part, it's mostly realistic forms. Like, the default is Bastard that I'm using, a favorite of mine. You know what, I'll just do random a few times. And a lot of stabs. Yeah. Of course, you can set the stats for each type, subtype too, so you can have your dagger with 50 reach if you want. Make it as broke or balanced as you like. Okay, so... wow, the pack... I have no idea how long the packets were 0 for there, but okay. So here's the thing that's of note with this. This will be 1.7, and of course it's here for my build, because 1.7 is kind of done. Yeah. And it even accounts for... yeah, so you have, with 1.7, you will have a mimicry slot. One slot where you can mimic any weapon. And random even has a chance to end up selecting it. And it'll actually take a look at the stats of the weapon that you're copying to determine the subtype. So you can't get a bastard, so... well, you actually can. I'd have to show the files. So I can't do it with the construction set, because that's closed. So yeah, the ini file. Yeah, here are mimicry set. So for blades, it looks at reach. For blunt, it looks at speed, because for me personally, I set all the blunt weapons to the same reach, so you can't actually use reach. Now if we look at speed, so we have slower than 0.8, we have warhammers, faster as battle axes. Initially, I'd go up by 0.1 for every update, but then I was thought, like, if it's just some bug fixes, like, if I'm adding a feature that the end user, that's like a feature to the end user and not a feature to me, then I'll go up by a 0.1. Otherwise, I'll go up by a 0.1. Like, 1.6.1 was just bug fixes for the end user. But for me, that was like a huge overhaul of the back-end code. Just rewriting a lot of things. Which, like, work-wise, would definitely be like 1.7. But for the end user, that's not... there's no extra features there. It's just like, you have a few less bugs. So it's 1.6.1. Every time there's a new feature, it should be included up by 0.1. Of course, I didn't have that rule all the time. I started at 1.5 because 1.3 was definitely just a bug fix. But I made it 1.3 instead of 1.2.1. But yeah, so this is divides by speed for blunt weapons and divides by reach for bladed weapons. So you can't actually move on. You're going to have to keep it regular. But also it's the shotgun approach too, because not everything's going to stick. So you'll have to also do it right. This is all going to take time out of your dev space too, so kind of a trade-off to think about. So that there is. So there's that with mimicry. So now you actually can do artifacts. What else was there? And Gold Brand. Time Dragon Blade I got from end of. Oh, this is a bastard sword. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, schedule or no schedule is something to really decide on. Usually the more commercial or larger a project goes, you want it to go with deadlines, just to kind of keep everybody focused. So I don't think a small size or one man needs deadlines, but it can be helpful to acclimate you towards when you actually do a larger team eventually. Yeah, it can be. What the heck else was I going to show? Oh, right, level up. So the other thing, other new feature, which was not originally 1.7, and this is one of the good reasons as of to me delaying this release until Growth Armor is out, is I may actually get struck with ideas for new features and I can have time to add those. How was it? XP. Even in here? Oh, I don't think I copied it here. Oh, that's unfortunate. I don't think I properly copied it. There's a setting for the dynamic leveling in the XP section. Oh, yeah. Yeah, maybe you want to set... I don't know, maybe you want to do flat amounts. I do flat amounts personally with this. I think that's just because I find it a little easier. Also, that's just how Oblivion does things. A little nice having a starting point. I mean, what I focus on is a start point and an end point. I figure out the level 1 stats and I figure out the level 25 stats. And make level 1 stats be like Iron tier. And make level 25 stats be Daedric. And then whatever line connects those two, we just keep going up to level 1000. Then I just take a look at level 1000 and be like, if this seems really broke-ass, then I'm just going to tone it down a little bit. Till it doesn't feel too broken. Which is what I did with this speed. Because when I made the growth weapon at first, I initially, during the testing, I actually set it to max level 201. Test out the speed. I'm just like, this is way too goddamn fast. And also, you don't really feel a difference between... Also, all the weapon types feel the same in speed. So that was when... I can get back... That's just... Here we are. Which is why I added this stuff. The per subtype speed mults. Because with these very small amounts, they add up over levels. So you still actually feel a difference between the weapon types. Even though it's still getting smaller, even though they're all kind of approaching towards the same speed, they still maintain, like, Dagger's still faster than the Claymore, Bastard Sword's still faster than the Claymore, Warhammer's still slower. But it's like, still kind of feel that difference with these little additions. Let me minimize that because I keep reopening it. Yeah, mimicry I'm going... Oh, right, also the other thing to show. The other thing with how mimicry works... Actually, can I... Oh, god damn it. I should not have exited that. But whatever. I don't have anything to show in game. Alright, so it was... conscribe logs. There's that, and also... oh, boy. Yeah, hopefully I properly copied it. So one thing is that here we have conscribe, which is the new requirement for 1.7, because this is needed for mimicry to persist across sessions. Here we have it. So these conscribe does not tie these logs to your save. So I can't do per save tying to it. I wish I could, but I can't. So I do the next best thing, which is per character name. Because I assume you name all of your characters differently. So this actually contains all the data for it. So we have the global number, the model ID. In game, this will tell the mod what subtype it is. I mean, this is stored in the save file, but I store it here as well, just in case. Well, actually, I should, because what if you go to an older save, then it will load this data, but the type might be different, because you have a different global. Anyway. Then we have the model path, and then we have the icon path, and then we have the name. And so this is all stored, and here's the thing that I was like, took me a bit to get the hang of, and it wasn't something that I needed to do, because if it's user error with modding community, kind of, if it's user error, you know, it's like your fault. You don't have to expect people to fix it. But I fixed it anyway, which is, I'll full screen this so I get some more. Here we are. Oh, that's a little more than a full screen, huh? So I actually validate all the variables in here. So first off, we register the log. Yep, it really does add up. Like, for one of my later professors in like senior year, it said that programming is simple, really simple, but you do a lot of simple things. It's just a lot of stuff that you do. No one thing is actually that complex, but it just all piles on top of each other. So yeah, here I'm actually, so we decide the log name here, set it as default. That's just for my own ease of use later on. And then we get the data. And one of the things about conscribe is that we actually get the first slot, or sorry, the second item in the array, because the first item is always the file path to this .log file. Oh yeah, doing documentation like this is so helpful. And over like half the size of manager is just these variable declarations. It's both funny and impressive. So many goddamn variables. Anywho, file path is 0, so 1 is the first thing, and 1, actually, it will say log file not found if log file is not there. So that's important, so we actually then check the size to make sure we actually have 4 lines in here. And then we get the data from each of those lines, if it is 5, and then we actually validate it. So we have to, in order to make use of is model path valid, we actually have to set them to them to self. Luckily, they get overridden by set model at the end, so it's fine to do that. And then we just validate everything, and if it's bad, then we just reset. Reset mimic tool, and we check things for various stuff. Like, if any of these lines are bad, if I throw in an extra character in here, if somebody opens up this file and just tweaks the data a bit, and they don't tweak it just right, it's going to get reset to default, which is the default mimic form. If you have nothing in there, is just I bastard sword, bastard claymore. Yeah, it's commenting is goddamn good. So we'll reset. Yeah, here we are. So error log file. So I don't really have one to just delete all the lines, so I just have a very, very large number. But I hope you don't ever beat. But if you do, it should be fine, because it'll next time you load, it'll detect the error again and just redo the deletion. But we then reset the model to 0. Go back to Claymore Bastard, because this data should be bad in some way, so we can't trust it to be a valid path. Because if I didn't, you just kind of you might load it up and then you get a missing mesh or invisible sword because there's no texture. And you kind of understand that it was your fault because you're copying something else, but I made sure it's right, because if that happens, we just reset to default. And right, and then we also check if file was deleted, because we know that the default mimic ID is 0. So if it's not 0, but there isn't a log file, that means you deleted it somehow. So we actually check. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I know when I was first starting out, we didn't stress commenting that much. Yeah, that tends to happen, Alyssa, when you're the only one around. It's one of the strong reasons for being nocturnal. Anywho. Yeah, we didn't stress commenting that much at the start of my programming education, because all the stuff we were doing was small, but dang, when things start getting large, you kind of got cocky from when you didn't comment. They're like, oh yeah, I'll remember what all this stuff does. And they're like, no, you won't. And they were right. No, I didn't. Yeah, when I comment, I think about someone else who's reading this. I think about some other modder who has no fucking idea what the heck any of this does, what the heck they're doing. So I comment, so that way it's not just reminding myself what's going on, it's also telling. Yeah, as I said, this is a TXT file. You wouldn't be able to view this with a construction set if I didn't put it into a TXT file. So I want people to look at this, which is why I've made sure all this stuff is thoroughly commented and very much understandable by other people. Yeah, because as I went through my rants before, both on Discord and stream, I've looked at other large mods to try and see what they do, and they only do the bare minimum commenting. So I had no goddamn idea what anything did or where I was looking for was, so I really wanted to avoid that so damn much. So I have made sure my comment game is on point. Unfortunately, there's no hiding here. Kind of sucks, but that's also what the doing a bunch of enter. Oh, alright. So there's this remake of Skyrim's full plate armor for Oblivion. Steel plate set. And if I can find it in the quick search, that'd be dandy. What The armor for Oblivion is either this kind of vanilla meshes, or it's just half-naked anime stuff. And there's like no in-between. Like you can see it more clearly here, they just blatantly reuse the steel pauldrons and steel arms. So finding armor like what I'm using with that Witcher 2 rip is like an extreme anomaly. Really hard to find armor like that for Oblivion. I'd love to learn how to backport armors, but I feel like the resources just aren't going to be there. Yeah, because of that, I'm also just because it's going to be easier because set model stuff was super tedious. So I'm just going to do mimicry first before that. But for now, the plan is to finish up the resist stuff and then do the enchantment so I can finish off the initializer block. And then go to level up stuff and then menu stuff. I don't know how long this is going to take, at least a month. Making some kind of solid progress though, since I'm already pretty familiar. Oh, it's practically midnight. I probably should have ended this an hour or two ago, but oh well. So thank you very much for watching, and you too, Alyssa. I know I don't chat much now, but still, it's nice to know you're here. And I'd like to say I'll see you tomorrow night, but this is the final entry of our playthrough. We're done. So I'm not streaming Oblivion tomorrow night unless I'm doing coding again. Unless I got a new game to play. I guess just stay tuned for a ping. So see y'all whenever.